How's it going, everyone? I am here to make sure that the stream is looking good on all the places. All right. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. And we are live on Twitch. All right. So how's it going, everyone? Let's wait until we get some viewers in here. We got a few viewers on Facebook already. We got a couple on Twitch, and we got one on YouTube. It is Tuesday night, and my name is Vincent Ippolito, and I am at my studio, Swift Road Studios, here in Arlington Heights, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. And I am here to answer all of your questions related to audio, video, music, pretty much anything that has to do with writing music, creating content, studio mixes, studio setup, equipment setup, musical arrangement, anything like that. All right. Josh, fuck it. We're doing it live. Play him off. Charlie, how's it going, Weasel? What are you up to? How do I mix and record audio without making it sounding like doggone poo-poo? I mean, it's always going to sound like crap. Like, no matter what you do, like, you just got to embrace the shit, you know? Like, that's really just the way to go. It's like to embrace the shit and make things just, you know, sculpt a nice castle out of that shit. And then hopefully someone's like, hey, that castle looks like shit, but it's still a castle. But no, mix and record audio without it sounding like doggone poo-poo. All right, so let's break that down for a second. Let's talk about recording audio first. Number one, don't clip unless it's cool. If it unless you're going for a clipped sound, which not a lot of people are, but I feel like you might. You go for a nice clean signal coming in, high signal to noise ratio. Make sure that everything sounds clean, and then you take all those tracks of everything sounding really clean, and you put it all together, and you saturate it, and you compress it, and you EQ it, and you pan it out. And you double some things and you keep some things solo, and you just, yeah, that's a good overview for not having things sound like crap. But as I recall, I don't think anything that you've done sounds like shit, but I'm biased, so, because I'm a literal fan, so. I hope everyone's doing well tonight on this beautiful fall, winter, whatever it is anymore, Tuesday evening. It has been a wild week. I did not get to do any of these streams last week, mostly because our upstream internet access, which sends the data out to all of you, was extremely nerfed, because I don't know if you remember that storm we had on Tuesday, but apparently it knocked something loose in the box out on the pole outside the studio. And the download stream was fine, but the upload stream was all messed up. So, sorry that I didn't get to answer your questions last week. We had a technician who came out on Friday, literally just in time for us to start our Live at Swift Road streaming, which is basically going to be artists and bands and all kinds of different people using our studio to perform with studio sound and multicam and all that stuff. If this sounds like a plug, it's not. I've already been like talking about this forever. So shameless plug, maybe, but like I don't think it is. Y'all already know about this stuff. But we had Maxwell Edison in here, who was an amazing looping artist. He used combination of a looper pedal with some sounds from Ableton, as well as some practical sounds of his own voice, of some hang drums. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. If you got to tune into it, it was really cool. We were really lucky to have him. We were privileged to have that man come out here and do some beautiful music in our room and stream it for all of you. This week we got a lot more bands. I believe tomorrow we have Ditheist coming in here, which is a metal band, which is going to be its own kind of challenge, because I haven't had a metal band stream live in the room ever. Thursday night we got Sweetie, which is a two-piece, amazing, like kind of indie punk rock, like just fucking awesome two-piece band. They already did one kind of like live studio video set at my buddy's place over in Lounge 13 in Elgin, and they're going to come here and do a live stream for all of you on Thursday night. Friday night we got Superkick coming out. The Superkick boys returning to Swift Road, laying down their new record Like This Like That live in the room. It's going to be amazing. And then Sunday night we got Splits, which is another kind of like indie pop rock. I think they got some little like math rock elements in there too, from what I heard. But they're gonna be coming out on Sunday night, and I am just really, really excited, because this is basically what I've been working for a long time. We got our next question from Lucas, our friend on Facebook. Have you heard the new Mesa Rectifier Badlander? It sounds sick. Dude. Okay, so it's funny because like Ola and Fluff and a couple other places like all posted videos of the Badlander the other day when it came out, and I just could not get enough of those videos. Oh my gosh. I mean, like, we have a 2-channel Mesa triple rectifier here in the studio. We've used it on a couple things so far, and the 2-channel recto has always been my just absolute favorite. It's modeled after the Soldano SLO. It was before the lawsuit and everything, and like it's so good. It's so juicy and grainy, and like the EQ curve is so sweet. But wow, that Badlander has to be the best sounding 3-channel rec that I've ever heard in my life. Like Mesa really kind of like knocked it out of the park with that one. That thing sounds amazing. I already saw a couple of producer friends of mine saying how much they need it the other day, and I agree with them. I don't know if we need it. Need is a strong word, but oh my gosh, it would be amazing to have a Badlander in here. That would be so cool. But it just came out. I don't even know when they're rolling out. I don't even know if you can order them yet. Let's find out. Let's take a look here. And it's the first thing that pops up in the Google search, of course. Oh yeah. All right, they're available for order right now. Oh, no. Just kidding. They're pre-order. $2,300 for the Badlander. Oh wait, it's not a 3-channel rec. It's a 2-channel rec. But it looks like it, but I mean, wow. Okay, but it's got controls on it, kind of similar. It looks like the kind of like the Roadster. You guys remember the Mesa Rectifier Roadster? That thing was super cool too. Like that was a 3-channel rec for real, but like no, that thing was like, that thing actually ruled. It had a different something to the gain structure. I don't know what it was, but like it was a good one. And like this kind of is reminiscent of it. It's kind of got this. Maybe I'll switch over to so you can see my screen. There it is. Oh, I disappeared. No, just kidding. All right. So yeah, it's got this like blacked out diamond plate on it, just like the Roadster. If you look at it up close, it's got that same like three-way switching that the Roadster had on the channels, but it's got some extra bits too. It seems like I like how Mesa puts their foot switch jacks on the front. Personally, I think it's really useful. But if you look, it has a power soak right here on the right on the front, 100 watt, 50 watt, 20 watt. That is super cool. Also, bold and variac. The variac must mean this, that you can have it, or I don't know, what do they mean by bold and variac? I don't know. I never owned a Roadster, but they look super cool. They look really cool. And it would be amazing to get one in here at some point, at least to try it out. I mean, you got to try it out. Got to see how things sound and look and stuff. By the way, we got a few people who liked and shared the screen or the stream, and I really appreciate it. Nick and Lucas and who else? Yeah, thank you so much for liking and sharing the stream, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Uh, Anyone who's got questions about audio, video, or music, they're gonna see the stream. They're gonna know that we're doing this stuff, hopefully. And maybe I should have put that in the descriptions. Let me take a look at this. All right, Facebook is being kind of dumb. There we go. That should do a little better. Gucci on Twitch just posted a goat emoji, and I just want to say this is my web developer, and I just want to say no, man, you would a goat for real. All right, we got another question from Charles on Facebook. What are your favorite VSTs or AUs right now? For any of you, just to break down the question a little bit, VSTs are basically what certain it's a certain programming language for effect inserts on in certain DAWs, like I believe Reaper and Cubase use VST. AUs are audio units, is what Logic uses, and I think even Pro Tools uses AU sometimes too. But regardless, that question is essentially one of my favorite plugins right now. And let's see here, what are my favorite plugins lately? You know what is amazing, and I wish I could like use it right, or like pull it up right now, but like it would interrupt my recording on the stream and everything if I did. But what is it? Let me find it really quick. It is I'm trying to remember the name of the company. It's called the Pawn Shop Compressor. A Cornif Audio, the Pawn Shop Comp 2.0. Oh my gosh, $100, and this thing sounds so amazing. It's got so many options on it. I'm going to switch over to my screen here again so that you can see it. This thing by Corniff Audio, I'm going to copy this and paste it in the chat for you. But this is one of the hottest compressors on the market right now, and it's only $100, and it is giving like 1176s and 1073s. I'm sorry, 1176s and LA2As like a run for their money. It runs in both stereo and mono. It this guy. It runs in both stereo and mono, and I don't think it has mono like mid-side control or anything like that, but it is amazing. Just get it and use it on everything. My other favorite plugin right now, and it is still just my go-to EQ, is the Waves Neve 1073 EQ. And look at this, $35 right now. Oh my gosh, this is insane. It is basically an entire 1073 Neve 1073 channel strip all in one. Like as you drive up these input faders, it also has links so that you can like find the balance of, as these go up, these will go down so that your levels stay the same. But as you drive these up, you get this like tiny amount of saturation that's really nice. The EQ points on it, you get a 10K. You get a 10K shelf. You got selectable semi-parametric EQ, along with a selectable low shelf. I believe from 55 up to 220, and as well as a high pass filter selectable. Just everything about this amazing. I love the sound. I know there are some people who are like, oh, it's waves, whatever. But like, honestly, like just the filters on it sound so good. And is it the most transparent, amazing EQ for like doing surgical cuts? No, that's not what this thing is made for. Like this thing is legitimately made for taking like an already really good sounding vocal and just coloring it up a bit so that you can shape it into the mix, do something cool with it. Also, on the knobs at the very top, you can even like drive the preamp a little harder, and you can even like make it so that it even distorts. It's a really useful plugin. $35 from Waves. So here is one. Here is the pawn shop compressor. That pawn shop compressor. I know it's $100. It's a little bit expensive, but it is usable in a trial, and I think the trial is like 14 or 15 days. So like try it out, and if you can come up with a scratch, it is so incredibly worth it. It is a beautiful piece of digital equipment. And then here is the Shep 73. I just have to recommend the Shep 73 to like everyone because it's so much fun to use. And let's pin that one. That's a good one. That's a good one. We have another question from our friend Lucas on Facebook. He asks, are you using parallel compression in your mixes? And if so, what are you using it on? Cheers. Cheers, mate. Thank you for coming in the stream and asking like awesome questions on the regular. I really appreciate it. So am I using parallel compression? If y'all don't know, parallel compression is essentially where you take a set of inputs, or even just one audio stream, a set of audio streams, and you have them running all to one bus, and you put nothing on that bus. It's just like your clean audio stream. And then you take those same audio streams, you can even like send it out from that one bus out to an effects bus with a compressor on it. Usually that compressor is slamming hard. I mean, like you're reaching for something that distorts here. Something like the API 2500 when you really crank into it. Something like the 1176. With like an all-in button on a blue stripe. Things like that. Really, really colorful compression, or the pawn shop compressor, which is becoming a new favorite, a new standard. And essentially what you're looking to do is not raise the level of the sound and like hard compress it in the way that a compressor would if it was 100% wet. What you're trying to do is blend in a hyper compressed sound that is essentially going to leave you with all that attack and like all the energy of just the raw sound itself, so that it doesn't get lost or like clamped down on. But then also what a compressor does is it can elongate the envelope of those hits. I'm kind of thinking specifically about drums here, like parallel New York compression on drums. Yeah, it's also called New York compression if you've ever seen that. But essentially, you can take that elongated, like really chewy drum sound that's that's crunched and compressed and really like lots of energy, and you can feed it in little by little into your mix. And it adds a lot of energy, because like I said, you still have all those like dead clean transients of like every snare hit, every tom hit, every kick, every punch, but you're blending it with this hyper compressed, crunchy, gooey, sounds like a candy bar. You're blending it with this like just this ball of sound that is like hyper exaggerated version of all those sounds like all running together. And you blend those two together and you get something that just sounds like really extra big, in every way, because you have those clean transients with long tails. And specifically useful on drums, really useful on things like acoustic guitar, again, where you kind of want to retain some of that natural spank, but you don't want it, but you still want it controlled and big sounding, but you don't want it necessarily clamping down on all those like big hits on an acoustic guitar. You just want to embellish them. Also useful if you have a lot of vocals feeding in your mix. Sometimes compressors, as soon as you get like 5 or 6 vocals that pop in, and then all of a sudden you've got just one vocal popping in, those compressors are going to react like a lot to when all the voices are feeding in. And so you'll want to maybe just have not a side chain, a parallel compression bus for your vocals to feed in all those bits that get lost when a compressor clamps down on something, because you still have that original clear sound and then you're blending it with a hyper compressed sound. So I love it on drums, like acoustic guitar buses, and it can be useful for really anything where you have a lot of sounds that are trying to create like one particular voice in your mix, and you want it to stay popping on all those transients, all those hits. Aside from that, I think that about answers it. Really good question. I really love using parallel compression recently. I never really gave it too much thought when I was starting off, because I was having trouble understanding how much you want to affect the sound on the parallel bus. Because what I would do is I would do little bits of compression, because that's what I was used to, right? Like people always say like, don't hit your compressors too hard, it sucks the life out, all this and that. So it was kind of applying that same theory to parallel compression, and I was doing it wrongly, because if you do that, then you can kind of run into some of the weird things that I was running into, which is like the weird phasing that can happen when you have like a dry signal and then a wet signal that has a small amount of latency on it, even a few milliseconds. and then they can create this comb filtering because the transients and the waves are like doubling up on each other in like very odd times and ways. But if you really crunch it, if you're really driving that compressor on your parallel bus, then you don't really have to worry about that because it's a whole different signal that's feeding in. And even then, like the latency on it just becomes negligible. So yeah, you really want to drive that stuff hard. Just get it in there. You got money right now, so you're gonna peep? Hell yeah. Dude, like, this is good stuff. Like, I would not steer you wrong. Another question from Charles on Facebook. Have you gotten any or messed around with any cool pedals recently? Let's see here. What did we get recently? I know that we got a couple of things. Let me go look at the pedal rack and let's see what we got. What did we get? All right, we got this one. We got this one. What else is new here? All right. So, yeah, we got some cool stuff. Some things that you may recognize and some things that you may not. First of all, one of my friends gave me a broken pedal. Surprise, surprise. When you know how to fix things and you have friends with way too much gear, they tend to give you things like, "Hey, can you fix this?" It's like, "Hell yeah, I can." So, we got a wah pedal for the studio. It is a Vox wah model V847, which is pretty cool. The only thing is that it literally does nothing at the moment because there is no potentiometer in it. So we just got this, and I'm excited to get a new pod in there and put it to good use. Pretty cool thing. Pretty basic. We don't got anything like super crazy in lately. I mean, we do got some pretty awesome crazy pedals, but like nothing too crazy that's new lately. But I did recently start using my freeze with couple. We got a Echoplex here, which is a tape delay, and I got this little 112 combo by Music Man called an RD50, and it is just like this into that with my gosh, just like it's not all that different from one of the songs that I play on here. The tone is just wavy and long and like ambient as hell, but without being that very typical particle reverb ambience. It's a little more crunchy. It's a little more gooey, you know? Yeah, you love those freeze pedals? Dude, me too. It's so much fun. Like, I think I had a Strymon Blue Sky reverb, and I actually traded the Blue Sky reverb to Tyler in muted color for this, plus like $100 or something like that, or like plus $200 or something like that. I can't remember, but I wasn't using the Blue Sky reverb because I've been using our wow. We hit 30 minutes fast. I really wish that my camera didn't shut off after 30 minutes. It's so annoying. But yeah, I wasn't using my Blue Sky reverb because we've been using mostly the Fractal Audio FX8 for a lot of those like bigger, like crazier shimmery reverbs and stuff. So I sold it to him and got this as partial trade. Also, the most recent addition, because we just had to, we had to try it out, was the Amazon Basics Bezos Drive. Is this thing awesome? No. But is it fun to say like, hey, I think this thing was like $25, and like it's clearly made to some kind of quality. Like, it's fine. It is noisy, which is kind of cool in its own way. For some things, would I put this on an album? Maybe not, unless I was using it for like some kind of alternative type of drive, not exactly linked with a with like an actual like guitar tone, but maybe like some kind of like synth tone or something like that, doing something weird with it. Totally. That being said, does it actually do the trick for like if you're trying to like overdrive your guitar into a tube amp? Yeah, it actually does a decent job at being a tube screamer, but it's just noisy, and I'm not certain about this switch. Kind of cheap sounding compared to like the switch. Like, this is the nano version of the Freeze. Has that more like standard and also just, you know, like a little more secure click. This thing kind of like has some give, and then it's like a very cheap pop to it. I don't know. It's all right. It's fine. It's the Bezos drive. Like, what are you going to do? Jeff Bezos. What a piece of crap. Him, not the pedal. Also the pedal a little bit. But, yeah, the Bezos drive. What the fuck? It's true though. I mean, like, I don't know, like I think there was a guy on Gear Gods who like put together an entire pedal board of like nothing but these Amazon Basics pedals. He called it like the Bezos board or something like that. It was funny. I mean, yeah, like as a cheap, if you got no money and you're trying to just get something, like, you know, the Amazon Basics pedals, they're worth trying out. But also, you vote with your dollar. So like, that man doesn't need more money. Like, give your friend $50 for the tube screamer that they're selling, as opposed to the $30 that you would pay for this thing, is what I would say. But I'm a filthy socialist, so don't listen to me. We got some more people who are liking and sharing the streams. Mike and Lucas. Lucas, thank you so much for sharing the stream. And Mike Skull and Mikey Schoenberg. Mikey, I haven't seen you in forever, dude. I hope you're in the chat right now. I really appreciate you tuning in. It would be great to see you, my friend. We are going to be streaming tonight until 7 p.m., which is about 15 minutes from now. About. Beg your pardon. Okay, so we got another question on Facebook from our friend Lucas. Any thoughts on the Black Hole Reverb VST? I haven't heard of the Black Hole Reverb VST. All right, let's check this out. Let's see what we got. Hole Reverb. Because I know that there was a pedal, right? Ah, it is. Okay, so it's based on the Eventide pedal. Cool. Oh, man. All right. I see where this is going. Do they have a demo that I can download? Like, request demo. Yeah, I'm signing up to get this right now. I'm really excited about this. Oh, you need the iLock for this. My iLock hasn't been working. What is my iLock username? Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. If this is going to take forever, then I may just... Okay, here we go. I just really want to get this VST. I'm willing to bet this thing is going to be amazing. All right, it's not going to give me my thing. All right, never mind. I'm gonna have to figure this out. But anyway, Black Hole Reverb VST. If any of you are not familiar with the company Eventide, they are a legendary time-based effects company. They had the Eventide, uh, like they had all kinds of hardware from the 80s and the 90s, like emulating tape echoes. They even had their own tape echo. I believe it was the Eventide. There was another. I'm jumping all over the place, but like I'm trying to think of like the actual names of these things. But anyway, they had a pedal called the Black Hole, and this thing is just beautiful. It's mostly about long reverbs, things like that, but it does do short reverbs pretty well too. Mikey says, "Miss you, bro." Mikey, I miss you too, man. You should come by the studio sometime. It's a pretty cool spot. I bought it a month ago. I love it. Lucas, like I'm gonna take your word on this. I'm signing up for the demo tonight after the stream for sure. I'm gonna try this thing out because that looks like it looks amazing. Like I know that anything that Eventide puts out is just like 10 out of 10. So fuck iLock. Seriously, fuck iLock. I have had I cannot even get into like a discussion about DRM at the moment. Like it, like I'll just rant on like how many times I've tried to like plug it in and like it just like all of a sudden my mixes will just fall apart and it'll say because like iLock stopped working for no reason. Yeah, fuck iLock. Jason Dellisman, our friend on Facebook, asking, "What do you think of the Abbey Road reverb plates? They are fantastic, but I have to say, I feel like there's there's a little too much in that plugin. Like it's a beautiful plugin, and the problem is that like everything sounds amazing, and I just I don't know, like that's just get it. It's another one of those things, kind of like the Sheps. Like just get it. Like it's especially if you're doing reverb on vocals a lot or doing reverb on on electric guitars. It just has this like like by themselves plate reverbs. If you don't know what a plate reverb is, essentially you have a metal plate made of some kind of metallic material. And it's suspended by some kind of, like shocks or springs. And on one side is an electrode that transmits vibrations and signal to the plate. And then on the other side is another electrode that acts as a speaker and you'll usually put them at like opposite ends of it. And so that the distance and the vibrations like take, X amount of time to get, and you have that separation. But, what you're getting is this very like at first kind of harsh sounding, like just like kind of like weird like metallic plate sound, similar to if you would tap on it, you would kind of hear the timbre of that metal plate. But by themselves, they don't sound super awesome. Like if you've got like just like a solo guitarist singer, you don't necessarily put a plate reverb on that because it may be a little too brash for like a very sparse mix. But plate reverbs in a very dense mix, like a rock mix or a metal mix or some kind of like really dense, indie mix with a lot of fuzz and stuff, a plate reverb will go a lot further than something like a room or a hall reverb, which can just start to echo out and sound kind of strange. If you turn it up too high, it'll kind of like set the vocals back too far. A plate reverb will actually like jump out of the mix a little more and peek its head out and give you that spatial awareness without like drowning the mix out in reverb, because you don't have to turn it up as high. You also usually don't have to low pass them as hard, because like they inherently have this higher timbre to them, like high mids, treble, um, and to say that it's smooth is not the right thing, but like in a whole mix, it's really slick. So yeah. Mark, our friend Mark, what's this about fucking iLock? Yeah, we're fuck iLock gang over here. Come on, this is like it's not a new thing. Like iLock sucks. We all know it. We deal with it for no good reason. Our friend Campbell on Facebook asking, have you played with the Neural DSP Granifier? I'm using the trial right now and it's honestly mind blowing. Very well might drop the $100 for it. So what is the Granifier? Let me look at this thing because I know that Neural DSP has put up a couple new plugins. Let's check this. Oh, okay. It's an Omega. All right. Enough said. I'll switch over here and show you what we're looking at. Omega Amp Works. If you don't know who Omega is, then you are not really in the high gain amp game, and that's okay. But they are making some of the most beautiful, some of the most brutal sounding high gain amp heads these days. And yeah, this thing is pretty cool. Oh, and it comes with an EQD plumes. That's pretty cool. So basically, all of these Neural DSP plugins, as you can see, kind of on the interface here, like you get the amp, but up here you can see like you got a pedal, you got an amp, you got an EQ, and then you got your IR speaker emulation, and they'll all come with some kind of pedal arrangement. I know that with the I personally own the Plini and the Nolly and the Fortin Nameless, and the Plini and the Nolly have effects both in front and after for like some time-based effects and things like that. But man, if you are thinking about grabbing the Granifier because you're loving the demo, I mean, it's the coolest thing that Neural DSP gives you 14 days with these, because I wrote an entire song on the Plini before I bought it, and like I had to have it after that, because I'm like, I can't believe I just wrote this song like out of nowhere after getting that thing. And it was just the demo. It's like, to me, that was like a telltale sign that I have to buy this. And it's served me really, really well. I've run guitar solos through it. I've written maybe like a handful of songs, like just from pulling up the Plini plugin and having some mics on the drum kit and just write a whole song right there. You know, don't gotta like deal with any of the beautiful struggle. It's beautiful, but it is a struggle of like, let me get the right tone with this, you know, like wall of amps over here, and like which cabinet am I going to use, and which overdrive am I going to use, and how am I going to have the mic, and you know, that takes time. With these Neural DSP plugins, you just plug it in, it sounds amazing. Like right out the gate. Like, is it easy? Is it too easy to like just pull it up for everything? Yes. And then all of a sudden all your mixes start to sound really similar, and you know, you don't want to use it on everything if you're a producer. But it does go a long way if you are just a simple like songwriter, or you're just a guitarist, or you're just trying to pull something up quick, or it's like late mix and like you got to find some kind of tone that works for this new solo that the band created, and like you don't really have like the availability or the time to set up an entire rig and do all that. It's very, very nice to have these plugins like that. Campbell comments, it's a high gain boy, but it even brings cleans to life, even sounds awesome on bass. Used it with dead strings and it just brought everything to life. Yes, absolutely. These high gain, one of the best things to do with some of these high gain rigs that are in plugin form is to just slap them on the bass DI that you record, and they sound great. Now you're gonna have to play with the impulse response a bit. Personally, I like using bass into guitar amps into our Torpedo Live with the bass cab settings on it. It sounds crispy, it sounds big, it sounds focused. Like it's like somehow it's all three of those things combined, and it's a guitar amp. So yeah, like you can use that. That's one of the big amazing things that you can use with these VSTs. So yeah, Neural DSP, $100, buy it, but not yet. Actually, I bought mine last year on the Black Friday sale. I think they all go like 20 or 25% off, something like that. So if you just wait a few more days, like next Thursday, next Friday, they should start their Black Friday sale, and you'll get it for super cheap. Pardon me. I'm sneezing a lot today. Jason, our friend on Facebook, has a question. What is a good orchestra type VST and grand pianos and strings? Okay, man, this is a super rabbit hole. This is a great question, but it is a super rabbit hole. As soon as you start going down and like looking for orchestral VSTs, you're going to find so many amazing things out there. Spitfire's Albion 1, East West Hollywood strings, both of those are pretty standard these days. Getting like for most of your actual like ensemble sounds. If you're looking for solo sounds, I believe Spitfire also has some packs that you can buy with just like solo viola, violin, cello, where it's just one. Pardon me, where it's just one or two. But yeah, that's like those are good places to start. The East West Hollywood strings and the what was the other one? The Spitfire Albion 1. Those are amazing. Grand pianos. I think the Spitfire comes with a grand piano or two. But also the if you don't have something like Native Instruments Complete, you can basically just buy Contact if you want, like just by itself, which is arguably the more useful for these kinds of things, like triggering like actual like musical sounds. I'm sorry, actual instrument sounds for music. The what is it? I'm gonna try and pull this up. Hold on. VST instruments. My brain is just not on it today. What is it? Ah, yes. The wave. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So right here, the definitive piano collection by Native Instruments is amazing. The perfect pianos, the Grandeur, the Maverick, the Gentleman. It like all of these are amazing. They offer you multi microphone setups. They also offer you like lots of options for ambience and like pedal noise and player noise and all this cool stuff. Also very similar on that list. If you're looking for something that's a little more creative based and a little bit more for the ambient side of piano and stuff like that, the Una Corda is just also just if you're able to and you're ever doing and if you're looking for like a beautiful piano VST that you would want to use on like everything, the Una Corda is amazing. It is so tweakable. You also get options to swap out the hammers for like ones with like just like cotton balls on them or like other things like that. Like it's so cool. Yeah, the world is huge for like orchestral and piano VSTs. Again, one of the best things that you can do is like listen to some of the trials. I love going onto YouTube and just typing in whichever pack you're looking at And there's got to be some guy with glasses on in like some, like rich ass studio. I say that as I'm sitting in a studio, but I mean like some guy, like who's going to go through all the sounds and like just play around with them and like see if it's a pack that you like, if it has the sounds and the options that you're looking for. Because usually you can't do trial periods for sound packs like that. Sometimes you can, but not always. Lucas, our friend Lucas on Facebook asking a question, which I think might actually be our last question of the day because it is 7 p.m. everyone. So last question here. Any general tone finding tips for amps? Yes, I would really love to give you guys this tip, okay? Because I cannot tell you how many times I have been tone testing here or like going to Guitar Center or Samash or somewhere where like people plug into amps. And I don't know why people do this, but if you've ever seen someone start an amp like this, like with all the knobs down, and let's just pretend that this isn't like drive and level and tone, okay? Let's pretend that like this is like bass, mid, treble, or like they start their EQ like this, like everything down. Who taught you this? Who hurt you? Okay? You gotta like take these dials, start them at noon, okay? Like always. I think there's maybe like 2 amps that I've ever heard of where like the knobs are boost only and not like cut boost. But like those things are super rare, and like every amp in the world, suffice it to say, I'm comfortable to say this, every amp in the world, the EQ stack is going to be cut or boost. You don't start the amp at 100% cut on your EQ. Okay, so that's tip number 1. I've seen it more times than I think you would believe. So there's got to be someone out there hearing this. But that also kind of feeds into my next tip, which is if the amp is not sounding super awesome at noon, don't be afraid to play with some more extra, like if it's too dark or too bright or whatever, don't be afraid to like turn the knobs up to some extremes, okay? Because these tone stacks, they don't work like a standard parametric EQ, okay? Tone stacks on an amp, like it's kind of an unfortunate thing, but it also plays into like into the character of an amp. On if you boost the bass on an amp and you're boosting some of the mids, some of that crossover between the bass and the mids is going to get lifted in that as well. And depending on the Q and the frequency, some amps even have it so that as you're boosting, the Q shifts a little bit or the frequency shifts a little bit as you're boosting or cutting. So don't be afraid to like explore the full range of the knobs on the amp. Like your end result, you may not want to dime everything out or cut everything out, but like at least seeing what the combination of turning the knobs to like larger degrees will actually do for you. Because it can drastically change the character of an amp. There are a lot of purists out there who say like, oh, if an amp doesn't sound good at noon, then you shouldn't even use it. And like, that's just such a pile of crap. Like there are so many amps like here in the studio that just don't do enough at noon. And like, but it's the amp for the job, because when you give it a big healthy treble boost, or like cut the bass out, or like boost the mids or cut the mids, or whatever you end up wanting to do, they end up giving you the exact sound that you want. So like they're like don't listen to people who tell you not to turn the knobs and stuff. Like turn those knobs, see what they do, explore every parameter that an amp gives you to use, because at the end of the day, like the amp itself is a tool, right? But at the end of the day, the real tools are your ears, and you have all these like little tools that are built into the amp to give you the sound that you're looking for. So turn those knobs. Also, one thing that I will say is that most of the time people are using way too much gain. Now, like I had a bit of a reaction to this in my own personal playing life. the like I ended up using like super low gain for everything all the time, and it kind of like ruined my ears to it for a couple of years. Like anything that was like high gain was just, oh, it's too mushy, which is pure crap. I've come around to it. We've got some beautiful amps in the studio that saturate like crazy, and it feels and sounds amazing. Like bottom line, you just don't want to be using so much gain that you can't even hear the pick stroke, that you can't hear the difference, you know, between like one note and another. You want to be using enough gain that it's easy to play and that it gives you the saturation and the bigness that you're looking for. That is, unless you're in the fuzz game, which case like just dime it all out, man. Like fuzz is just gonna like, if you're looking for fuzzy, like you're looking for hella saturation. But if we're just talking about amp tones here, like just, you know, like don't use too much gain, because then you're also going to be limiting yourself as a player if you can't hear the subtleties between like one note and another. Even for a player like you, this is our friend Lucas that asked this question. Even for a player like you that shreds and you're going fast a lot, and you need that saturation to kind of lead you through the notes. Part of the characteristic of you as a player is the way that you're leading between those notes. And that matters. Not to like say like, you know, like, oh, you should study Gilmore more or something lame like that. But like legit, you know, like maybe you don't need all that gain anymore because you're such a well-developed player that you can still play smoothly and have a little bit less saturation. And then in post, if things aren't sounding as big, you can, that also, if you're not using one amp that's like dimed out with the gain, you can add another amp in there, and then you have an entirely new dimension that you can explore with tonal possibilities of two amps stacked on top of each other. So that's the other thing, is that if you need more gain, like on top of something, you can add another amp, and those amps and those gain structures are going to interact and interfere in a great way. So yeah, to sum it up, tone finding tips for amps. Start with your EQ at noon, but tip number 2, don't be afraid to turn those knobs, like every knob on the amp. See what it sounds like when the master is cranked. See what it sounds like when the master is cold. You know, like don't be afraid to like turn every knob and flip every switch on an amp to get the sound that you want. No matter where it is, if it sounds right to you, then you got the right sound. And then tip number 3, don't use too much gain. Use enough gain. Don't suck all the saturation out, but also don't suck out all the subtleties of your playing, because at the end of the day, it's not the sound of the amp that people are going to be listening to your music for. It's you as the player. You're the one that they're listening to. You're the one that they're listening for. So you want to leave some of that in there. You know what I mean? That is amps on amps. Dude, we got amps on amps. I'll show you guys a little bit. I'll pick up the camera. Hold on. Here is our amp rig that we have at the studio currently. We got some Peters. There's that 2-channel Recto. We got a Splon. We got some other cool stuff. We got a Port City. There's our Echoplex. Down there we got a Fryette. And I don't know if you can see it. Oh. I hit a button. Maybe you can see it now. There's our diesel. So yeah. We got a lot of amps here. We use a lot of amps, a lot of different things, lots of different sounds. I like lots of different sounds whenever a band comes in the studio. But that is going to do it for our Tuesday Ask Me Anything text stream. My name is Vincent Ippolito, and I am hailing from Swift Road Studios. Hailing from? Why would I say that? I am sitting in my studio here, Swift Road Studios in Arlington Heights. Let me know if you need anything. questions outside of the stream, you can always hit me up on Facebook. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Swift Road Studios. You can find me on YouTube, Swift Road Studios. We are going to be streaming lots of bands here this week. Tomorrow night, we got Ditheist. On Thursday, we got Sweetie. On Friday, we got Superkick. And on Sunday, we got Splits. Tune in, 7 p.m. Any of those nights, basically every night from tomorrow except Saturday at 7 p.m. We're going to be streaming a band here. And we've got even more coming up for you next week. Aside from that, next Tuesday, I will see you guys for another Ask Me Anything text stream. Until then, thank you for coming by for the hang. I'll see you soon.